Hey guys, Julian here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make deep house like Maya Jane Cole's. As usual, you can get the full project file and samples and MIDI and presets from this video right at the top of the description on my Bandcamp. A lot of you guys have requested this one, so definitely go check that out. And if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there because it's already available. And yeah, here we go. So we're at 119 BPM, a little bit slower than like a typical house track, but it works really well because you get that more kind of like chilled, sort of laid back groove, especially if we just pay attention to like the rhythm section. It makes this stuff groove together really nicely, versus like if we try to speed it up to maybe like 127. The groove can be a little bit weirder at that tempo. But yeah, and then the first sound that we have here is the piano, which sounds like this. So what's happening here is we basically have three chords. We have A minor, C major, and then D minor. And then what's happening here is we're just kind of playing this sort of like thing around that, but it's all based around that bow, bow, bow. So yeah, just simple stuff in the key of A minor that just has this sort of like catchy kind of, it's almost like a melody but with chords. For the sound, this one is made using actually just a one shot of a piano. I just put it into a simpler here. Here's the original sound. And then what's happening is I'm low passing it to make it a bit deeper. And yeah, I like using the one shot, you know, it gives you that more kind of sampled feel. It can be easier to get that cool texture out of it when you're working with a one shot versus working with like a contact library piano or something like that. And then I just have a bit of a reverb on it and then a bit of saturation as well, which one thing with the saturator I'll talk about is the bass frequency here. If I turn this back up to the default, and then I turn it down, it's really subtle. But you may have noticed that when we have this at the default setting, it was actually a little bit crackly. Sometimes with these pianos, the saturation is essential. You do need the saturation on there because you need it to be as fat as possible. But if you, and it kind of like fills it out. But if you use too much or if you don't know how to dial it in, you get those like crackle sounds. So turning down that bass frequency is a really great way to get rid of the crackle sounds. And then finally we just have a high pass filter on there so that this isn't taking up too much space and you can still hear it with like the basses. Because if we turn off the low pass or the high pass, see how it kind of clashes with the bass a little bit more? Oh yeah, that's it for the piano. After that we have this vocal stab which sounds like this. So all this is it's just this little oh. And then I've just put it on the every like downbeat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. And what this is meant to kind of be the intersection of melodic and rhythmic, because we have this thing which is playing with the piano musically. You know that dun 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 over top of the piano riff is adding something to it, but then it's also rhythmic because it's not just like a long held out note. It's dun, 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 like that. So that's the idea behind this one, is that you can kind of do both. And it's a way to kill two birds with one stone, because I could have, you know, say like a cymbal or something like that going tss, 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 and then a synth drone maybe playing like one note, and then have both of these things happening in the mix. This way we're able to do that with just one element. And then I just have a little bit of reverb on that. It's really simple. And yeah, after that we have the bass, which is made actually out of two sounds, and it sounds like this. So what's happening here is we have this little bass percussion stab thing here, which if I play that with the kick, you can hear that's basically every single Every single time, that's just like boom, da-doom. And then we have the synth bass. So it's a bit of call and response between the two bass lines. This creates a really, really groovy low end because this is like, it's almost like these are just two little percussive sounds, you know, these two basses, but these are what's creating the low end in the track. So yeah, the bass stab just looks like this. And then on the operator bass, the notes it's playing are just A and D. So again, we're in the key of A minor, so that pretty much just fits into that. And then for the sound with this one, this is actually just pretty much a sine wave with a little bit of FM from another sine wave, and then it's just going through a drum bus. So really simple sound, you know, you don't want it to be too busy. The bass line is just like, the simple groovy thing that's still fitting in with the patterns of everything else. Because like, if you listen to the piano with this bass line, you can see it's all kind of fitting together. It's not just happening at random times. Like, everything kind of has a very tight groove, and you have to pay attention to every individual layer as you're making each other one. And we have the kick, which this one's pretty simple. It's just your standard sort of fat, almost like a 909 style kick, but with a bit more punch to it. This is just one that I've made, and then I have it going through a bit of drum bus here. So here's without it, and with it. So you can hear the drum bus gives it a bit more punch, and it's also filling out that low end a bit. And just making sure this one really hits. And then on the group of all the low end stuff, both of the basses and the kick at once, I have a bit of saturation. So here's without that. And with it. So you can hear this one is really subtle, but it just gives a little bit of glue to all the elements and kind of makes everything feel like it's fitting together more. It makes the low end really feel together and tight, and less all over the place. And yeah, that's it for the low end. After that, we have the hi-hats, which sound like this. So this is 3 layers. We have our main hi-hat, which sounds like this. You can hear this one is just like this kind of fatter, deeper hi-hat sample. The main thing really to keep in mind is just the type of sound you're choosing. Like, again, just like a bit deeper, fatter sound like this. You can see I pitch it down as well. This is the original pitch, and then that's where we're at. And yeah, again, it just gives you that like that really sits nicely in the middle of the mix there. We've got a bit of reverb, just like a short reverb, and a bit of saturation on that as well. Then after that, we have this shaker, which is just like, you can see I've kind of staggered the velocities, so it's like up and then down. And this one's really quiet. You may not even notice it right away in the overall mix, but it just gives you something a little bit groovy in the background, and I'll show you why it's important. Here's without it. And then with it. So just having that subtle in the background is actually making a very big difference for the groove. And then the last hi-hat we have here is just this shaker, which you can hear just plays like some extra little percussive notes in there, kind of bouncing off of the main hi-hat. You know, just adding depth, because we have these two going the whole way through, which sounds nice, but it doesn't have anything coming in and out. It's just two things that are really predictable, that are always happening on the same count. But then if you have this, it's kind of breaking it up a little bit. And then on the group of the hi-hats, I just have, actually nothing. I just have those in a group together. Yeah, I didn't really need a whole lot to make those fit nicely. Then we have the clap, which sounds like this. So the thing with this one is it's just a regular sort of house clap, like that. And then I'm kind of going through a drum bus here, which is fattening it up a lot, but then I have this damp turn down. So this is just cutting off the highs and making it more of like a, like it's it's almost closer to a rim shot or something like that. And yeah, that's a really great way to make those kind of claps, because I hear these in a lot of tracks like this, and there aren't really a lot of these going around in sample packs. But if you just take a clap like this and kind of low pass it a little with this dance, it makes this nice like right in the middle of the mix. Yeah, then the last thing we have here is all this percussion, which sounds like this. So as you can hear, it's just a bunch of different little percussive sounds. The main two ones up front are these two. So you can see these are just these little sort of like bongo sounds I've got playing off of each other. If I play those with like the kick, you can hear where they're fitting. But you can hear it's like a lot of groove happening. These are almost like a background element. But listen to how much more powerful the track is when I have them. So here's without them. And then with. You're having that dun, 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 constantly happening through the track is really adding a lot to it. And then I just have those going through a bit of drum bass each. And then we also have these little percussions, which both play pretty much the same thing. It's just this one, and then that second one. So we have like a high-pitched one, and then a low-pitched one. It's like dun-dun, dun-dun. And those just hit at the end of every bar, or every half of a bar actually. It's like boom, dun-dun, dun-dun, kind of like that. So again, all these little percussion elements might seem like background stuff, but it's really making a big difference, because like without those, you just don't have so much stuff playing off of each other. It's like a really big part of what's happening here is how these percussions are playing off of the piano and the hi-hats and the kick at the same time. So that's what all this percussion is doing, is it's kind of just providing us with some more groove and some suggestions of kind of like where the groove is going for the listener. And then on the group of all those percussions, I don't have anything. And then the final layer that we have here is just this little atmospheric noise, which sounds like this. So all this is, it's just this noise sample, just playing in the background. I don't even have any effects on it, it's just playing quietly. And you can hear that one. You're just getting this light like happening like in the background of the track, and it's creating a lot of atmosphere and vibe. And this is really important because these tracks are really vibey. They feel very textured and very much like they're kind of, you know, fitting into a certain space. This is how you do that, is by adding this little subtle noise. And if I turn this off, you can hear the difference. So here's without this. And then with it. So just having that little happening in the background is going to make a big difference. And that's what we have here. And yeah, so that is going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. And let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get the full project file and samples and MIDI presets. Everything in this video is available right at the top of the description on my Bandcamp for just $5. It's a great way to support me if you guys are interested in doing that. And yeah, like I said in the beginning, you can also get this on my Patreon. It's available now. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.